Last week, a channel I really enjoyed, Ginger Hippie Gaming, link is up there in the corner right now for you guys to take a look at his channel, posted a video about the top 5 nostalgic items in his collection, and I thought it was a really great idea. I asked him if it was alright if I did my own take on it, and he said absolutely. And I will be honest with you, this is going to be more than 5 things. I'm gonna cheat. I kind of did 5 categories instead of just 5 items in my collection. That's okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at 5 different categories of things that matter to me, strategy guides from games, some different toys, video game systems, video games themselves, and video game controllers. And not necessarily in that order, just kind of things that I dig. All right, for me, there are 2 strategy guides in particular, only 2 on this one. There's gonna be more in other categories. And the first one is from my favorite game of all time, and that is Suikoden 2. I remember when I picked up Suikoden 2, I found it at a Toys R Us for $5 on clearance. For those scoring at home, that's a several thousand% increase in value since it released. Wish I still had my copy, but I do still have the strategy guide. And I remember I got the game and I took it home and played it, and I fell head over heels in love with it. So I went back to Toys R Us the next week, found Suikoden 1, spoilers, that'll be showing up later, as well as the strategy guide, also on clearance. All 3 of those items, the 2 games and the strategy guide, about 15 bucks. And it's a time when I was just living on my own for the first time. I had just gotten a PlayStation 1, and it was something where it was the first game that really spoke to me. Like, for a lot of people, their signature game on the PS1 is Final Fantasy VII, and no fault there. But for me, it was Suikoden 2, and the strategy guide, poring over it and finding the 108 Stars of Destiny, and just, you know, making sure that I was doing like the cooking game correctly and all this other stuff was so important to me, and I absolutely loved it, and I love the strategy guide to this day, and I will never get rid of it. The second strategy guide I want to talk about is one that I need to point out isn't the one I originally had as a kid. Some of the stuff you're going to see in this video isn't stuff I have still from when I was a kid. I got rid of a lot of that stuff as I grew up, and it's been, you know, like most people from our generation, reacquiring the kind of treasures of our childhood. And this one here, I got super lucky on. One of my favorite games of all time is Earthbound. And my wife and I walked into a thrift shop in Winter Park, Florida, and there was a basket of magazines and a ton of Nintendo Powers, and in there was the Super Mario Bros. 3 guide that is on a walkabout somewhere, and this one, the Earthbound guide. And I adore this. Like, I had the big box of Earthbound when I was a kid, and I remember I sold it to a pawn shop, and I got like 20 bucks for it. And I felt like an idiot the next day. I went back to get it and it was gone. And this wasn't when Earthbound was hard to find. It was just, I didn't want the game anymore. I needed money and I sold it, and I regretted it instantly. And the thing I like about this is that, I mean, it's beat up. You can see this stuff is falling apart, but it's still got the cards in the back with the scratch and sniff and everything like that. And I love this. This is one of the best guides out there. Nintendo actually just made this available again for people to download via PDF. That's going to be it for strategy guides. Suikoden 2 and Earthbound, 2 of my all-time favorite games, and 2 things that I absolutely love. All right, I think next we are going to go to toys. I am a toy collector. For those who've been watching this channel for a while, you know that. I did some G.I. Joe videos at the start. But I do have 5 toys I want to show off. This is a Burger King Kids Club Creature from the Black Lagoon toy, and the great thing about this toy, it's so stupid because this thing is worth like maybe $1. But the best thing about this is you can actually put him underwater and press this button on his chest, and he'll suck water up, and you can spit water out with him. And Creech was my first, you know, kind of horror movie love, and I'm not a horror fan. I don't get into scary stuff. It's not my thing. But Universal Monsters and Kaiju were big for me as a kid. Because on the weekends, the Fox network that was up in Massachusetts, where I grew up, showed monster movies and Kaiju movies all day on Saturday, and I just ate them up with a spoon, and Creech was the one that I fell head over heels in love with. I kind of forgot about him for a while, and when I moved to Florida, as I got older, I made some friends in Orlando, particularly Gene, and Mew and Todd, and we all loved Creech, and Creech was our thing, and it was something we shared together. And yeah, to this day, it's, you know, a couple of my friends and I just love Gilman. So this is one of those only 80s kids will know. This is hotcakes from McDonald's. Now, the neat thing about this is that, yeah, it just looks like an old styrofoam tray from McDonald's breakfasts, right? But back in Happy Meals in the 80s, we got Transformers, and hotcakes here was awesome. Now, I was never a big Transformers guy. I was always a G.I. Joe fan. This was all I ever really needed for Transformers. I just loved this toy. I thought this thing was incredible. And there were so many neat ones. Like, I think there was a thing of fries that transformed. There was a drink. a hamburger, like just the absolute coolest toys back in the 80s. And stuff like this and the Toy McNuggets that had different costumes you could dress them up in. Like there were Halloween ones where you could get a Frankenstein McNugget, and like it's stupid looking back at it, right? It's these 20-cent toys and these Happy Meals, but stuff like this is stuff that sticks with me. Like I remember vividly getting this when I was a kid and just lighting up because this was the coolest one, man. Like he's hotcakes, man. He's hotcakes. How cool is that? This guy here, this is one of the only original Muscle Kinnikuman figures that I have left. Now I have a lot of ones from the Ultimate Muscle series that released in the 2000s, but this is the only one I have left from the original Muscle line, and these toys were just amazing to me. There was a point where my friend David and I repainted a bunch of them as X-Men characters just because we wanted to, and I look back at it now and I painted over all these valuable figures and completely ruined them, but to me it was amazing to have a Sunshine that was actually Colossus. And yeah, I mean, a lot of them just got ruined and fell apart because the paints we used just ate away at the rubber, but this guy remains, and this guy is awesome. This toy here kind of covers two bases. Now, I am a massive G.I. Joe fan. G.I. Joe was my toy line growing up. It was my favorite thing. I never missed an episode of the show. Sergeant Slaughter used to wake me up at 6:30 every morning, and I would watch G.I. Joe for an hour before I had to go to school. And I had hundreds of action figures, hundreds of G.I. Joe action figures. And my favorite was Chuckles. Chuckles, looking at him, he's not much to look at, right? He's a guy in a Hawaiian shirt, some green pants, and he's got a pistol. And that's about it. But the neat thing about Chuckles was the operative that didn't feel the need for a clever disguise. He would just get the Cobra operatives on his side, and they would drop his deep, dark secrets. To me, Chuckles was the best. I have vivid memories as a kid of playing in my backyard in the snow, and Chuckles was the only guy that didn't go out in the Arctic camo because he was that cool to me. I thought, hey, he doesn't need the camo. He's got the Hawaiian shirt. It's great. Now, the neat thing about this one is Chuckles was a laughingstock for a long time. Like, I was the only Chuckles fan, I'm sure, but they actually did a series of comics back in the 2000s called G.I. Joe Cobra, and it starred Chuckles. Chuckles infiltrated Cobra. He looked like he had betrayed the Joes, and his entire mission was to go in and kill Cobra Commander. Spoilers, which he succeeded at. And the author of that comic series was Mike Costa, and Mike went down to my local comic shop down in Orlando and did a signing there, and I got him to sign my copy of Chuckles, and it just means a lot to me. Okay, this one might be hard for me to get through. I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandfather was my hero. He's the most important person in the world to me, and he was a genius. He worked with his hands. He was a boat builder, a woodworker, an artist, just an unbelievable man. And when I was a kid, I loved Winnie the Pooh. And it was my favorite thing when I was a little kid. I had the Winnie the Pooh books. I watched Welcome to Pooh Corner on the Disney Channel. And he's seen better days. But my grandfather carved me this piglet out of wood. He's got just little dowel arms, and yeah, I mean, I don't really think I need to say too much about it. I'm a 42-year-old man with a wooden piglet, and I love him. Yeah. Okay, let's talk games. All right, something a little bit lighter. All right, so the big one for me is this guy right here, Star Tropics. Star Tropics was my #1 of the Bullet NES game, my absolute favorite. I've told the story. If I've told it once, I've told it 20 times on the channel, where I was able to call into the Nintendo Counselor helpline and get information on how to beat the Ghost Boss in this because I just couldn't figure it out. And I remember when I got this, I couldn't figure out why there was a letter attached to the instruction manual. It didn't make any sense. And I just, finding out the secret of the letter as you go through the game and being able to dip it in water and discover the secret message from your uncle to be able to go forward, man. It's just such a clever thing. Like, this isn't something that Nintendo does anymore, and it's one of those just halcyon memories from a bygone era where I look at it and I realize that, God, this is just so cool. I'm sorry. I'm just so stoked about this. This version of Star Tropics my wife bought for me. This is not my original copy that I had from a kid. This is something I had on my wish list from a couple of years ago. She got it for me, and it's a complete in box version, and like complete in box. Like, has the Nintendo dust sleeve and full color manual right there with, of course, the letter, the infamous letter. And yeah, you can dip it in water and it will reveal the secret. But like it's got the Nintendo Power subscription card, and I really want to get this framed because I think this might be one of my favorite things in the box is the Now You're Playing with Power poster. Like, I had this on my wall as a kid, man, and I never thought I would see one of these again in the condition it's in. Like, this thing is in pristine condition, and I kind of want to get it framed and hang it up because I think that's kind of a perfect addition to the game room. It looks so good. And you know, the nostalgia of having this as a child and loving this game so much as a kid, and my wife getting it for me and giving it back to me, man, she's number one, dude. Like, she's just the best. This is a positive memory because of my oldest friend, David. David and I grew up together, like literally grew up together. We met when we were 8. We're both 42 now, and we're still very close friends. And I used to go over his house, and he had the Super Nintendo, I had the Genesis, and I'd go over his house, and we would play NHL 95. And it was, his team was the New Jersey Devils. His family was from Jersey. He loved the Devils. He played as Slava Fedosov all the time, and I always called him Saliva Fedosov. It's just, you know, just stupid 12-year-old bickering back and forth about just the dumbest possible things. And yeah, man, like, I love this game. I mean, I've told you guys a million times how much I love this game, and it's because of those game sessions with David where he would play as the Devils and I'd play as the Leafs or the Bruins, and just, yeah, man, it was just the best times. Just the absolute best times playing those games in his room. As you can see here, there's autographs on the cases, and these are of my test team for both Henry Hatsworth and Tiger Woods 10. These are two of the absolute best test teams I ever worked on, and I had the privilege of managing. Just some of the best people I ever worked with, some of the most talented testers. And I'll be honest with you, we delivered 2 really damn good games. I wish more people gave Hatsworth the time of day because I think it is one of the cleverest games ever released on the DS. It just takes advantage so much of what that system is able to do, and it's so good, man. Just a perfect game. All right, I want to move on to controllers now, and controllers are, I mean, a little silly, I guess, in the grand scheme of things because I've also got systems, but controllers and systems to me are different. The first one for me that I want to show off, and this harkens back to Nintendo Power because Nintendo Power at the time actually had some stickers in it that you could use as an overlay on your NES controllers. And this one here, I just loved, man. Like, I just adored this thing. I thought it was the coolest looking controller, and just like, you know, 10, 11-year-old Jay thought it was just the coolest thing in the world to be able to customize your controller with these stickers. There was one that I think was 1993, so I guess I would have been 13 or 14. And it had like party balloons and stuff on it for New Year's. It was stupid, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I just love this. I thought this was the coolest thing. And this is the NES controller I use to this day. This is the one I have from when I was a child, and I love it. I love the Dreamcast, but there's a lot of stuff that the Dreamcast did that just didn't make sense to me, and one of them was the controller. I didn't really care for the OEM Dreamcast controller. I didn't think it was that great. And on the Dreamcast, my main thing that I played was fighting games. So I wanted something that was more conducive to playing fighting games, and that is where this guy came in. Now, it looks like the Batwing, I'll give you that, but it was really comfortable in my hands. I liked the triggers on it because they were very easy to press. Having the ABC and XYZ on the top, having 6 buttons on the front-facing one made it just perfect for Street Fighters. I have your light, heavy, mediums, and it just felt right. And I still use this to this day. This is the controller I default to when I play on my Dreamcast. This is probably my most used controller in my collection for fighting games. Not all time. That'd probably be the NES controller I showed earlier. But I really like this one. I thought this was a great controller. I thought it was a lot of fun to use. I thought it made playing the games a lot easier, especially the ones I like to play, and this is just the one I dig. Okay, final category, and that is going to be consoles, and these are the ones that mean the most to me, and I've already showed off the controller, so should be no surprise that I'm showing off the toaster. Now, this one's a little bit special. I don't actually play games on this anymore. I don't believe it works. I don't know if it works or not. I don't really care because I've got my Retron, so this works just as well. But what I've done with this one is I've made it a little bit more special, and I've decided that this one is going to kind of be my travel trunk. You know, like back in the old days, you would get stickers from the different places you would visit and you'd put them on your trunk wherever you traveled. And this one I decided to just put on some of my favorite creators. There's Pac-Man Case, Mount Rainier in Washington, Pink Gorilla, my favorite companies, places I've been to, Do You Nerd, Game Dad, Archie McPhee in Seattle, the Underground Donut Tour, there's J-Love. And it just, I thought this was a great use for it because this thing had just been sitting around for years, literally on a shelf as a display piece. And I figured, I've met all these amazing people, I've gone to all these amazing places, and they are things that I love and treasure, and I want to show it off. And that's what this is for now. This is when I meet a new creator, when I meet a creator that I respect and admire, and if they've got a sticker, it immediately goes on here because to me, that's important. You know, these are the people that matter to me, these are the people that I love, and I like having this to show off the people that I care about. All right, people that have watched the channel for a little while might have seen a short a few months ago and saw when I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic where I picked up this guy, my lime green Game Boy Color, and I actually sent this off to Chris at Game Dad, who redid the screen for me. This one, I can't tell you how much this means to me. The Game Boy Color, I love the original Game Boy, don't get me wrong, but the Game Boy Color to me was the one that got the majority of my playtime. This is the one I played Pokemon on when it first released. When Pokemon Yellow came out, I think I got Pokemon Blue when it came out, and then the next year I got Pokemon Yellow, and that's when I had my Game Boy Color, and it was the lime green one, just like you're seeing here. And I put so many hours into that thing. It would go with me on the bus to work. I would play on break. When we were slow at the cafe, I would play. It was just so easy to just toss in the back pocket of my khakis and take it with me, and I mean, it was as good as advertised. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was a simple thing I could take with me, and I have so many positive memories of playing Game Boy Color and classic Game Boy games on this that are just so important to me. The Game Boy, like, handheld gaming to me is one of my favorite things. Like, I love playing the DS, I love playing the 3DS, the Game Boy, the Switch in handheld mode. I'm sure I would love a Nomad if I could find one for under $500. But handheld gaming to me is awesome. I absolutely adore it, and it really kind of stemmed from right here. Like, it is kind of my preferred way to play, in fact. Like, I just enjoy it. I don't know why. It's just my thing. All right, next up is the first console my wife ever bought for me, and it is the PlayStation 2 Slim. I did not have the PlayStation 2 for, I think, 99% of its life cycle. Like, I didn't get this until I think it was the last year of production. I didn't care. The PS2 didn't interest me. Like, I had played it and I thought it was neat and I thought the games on it were really good, but I didn't feel the compulsion to buy it. I was still playing PS1 games. I was still playing the Dreamcast. I was still fascinated by the Xbox at the time, and it was something where it was just like, I think it's cool, I don't really care. But when I started working at EA, I started working on more PS2 titles and using the controller more and experiencing the system more, and I was like, oh yeah, no, this is actually pretty cool. I'd like to get one of these. And we were dirt poor at the time. I was making $8.50 an hour at EA, and we could barely scrape money together for Christmas, and she managed to get me this for my birthday one year. And it means the world to me, and I still use it regularly. Like, I still play games on it probably once a week, and it's something I just adore. Like, I love that she got that for me, and that she was so willing to, you know, scrimp and save and, you know, put aside things that she wanted to be able to get this for me. And it just means the world to me. Next is the Game Boy Advance SP, specifically this guy here. And this is probably the one that has the second most playtime on it behind that Game Boy Pocket. I didn't adopt the Game Boy Advance early. I didn't have the original Game Boy Advance. I waited until this released because I wanted an SP. I wanted something small, again, that I could just toss in my pocket and not worry about it. And when this one got announced and they revealed that it was going to be an NES model and it looked this good, oh man, I was all over it. Now, yeah, sure, I wish it had the brighter screen. I wish it had the backlit screen instead of the frontlit one, but I still think to this day this is one of the sharpest systems that Nintendo made, and I just think it is a thing of beauty, and I absolutely love it. And finally, I did my video last week about the 3DS and how much I love it, and I'd love to show you my 3DS again, but we are going to go here with my DS Lite. This one was my everyday play for years. This went with me to work, just got tossed in the backpack, and as you can see here, we got Advance Wars Dual Strike going. It was just one of those systems that was just so imperative to who I was as a gamer at the time, between Advance Wars and Phoenix Wright and Oh my goodness, Mario and Luigi and Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the mini mix one. There was just so many games that I loved on the DS and continue to love to this day. Professor Layton, Advance Wars, obviously. It's just like I'm just coming up with ideas now. It was such a great system and something that I put so much time into and loved so much that it would be impossible for me not to include it here. Like, when I think of my best times gaming, a lot of those include this machine right here, this DS. And I've had tons of different models of it, but this one was the best because this backlit screen looked fantastic for Game Boy games, and it was just, it's just such a great system. It's something that I look back fondly on, and I kind of weigh every handheld gaming experience against what I have with that whole line of consoles I just showed you, between the Game Boy, the GBA SP, and this DSi. It was, yeah, this was my jam. This was my thing. There you have it. Those are the things that I am nostalgic about, the different categories. And yeah, I blew the 5 items way out of the water. I know, I'm sorry, but to me, this was fun. And I like doing these kind of videos where it's not just showing you constant gameplay and things like that. I like being able to just talk to you and let you guys know a little bit more about me and a little bit more about the things that I love and what really just kind of get me motivated as a gamer and who I am. And I think the toys are just fun. I like showing off toys, so I wanted to show them off. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite thing is that I showed off today. Let me know as well what you're nostalgic for in your collection. And if you want to do a video, please do respond, tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys are nostalgic for. Please hit like, please subscribe down below if you're new around here, you just happen to stumble across the video. And hey, if you really dig the work I do, consider becoming a monthly Patreon sponsor like the awesome people you are seeing on screen right now. Patreons get ad-free access to videos before everyone else for as little as a donation of $1 a month. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider picking up some of our merchandise at squarepegsyt.com. Shirts, hats, masks, accessories, you name it. Awesome Square Pegs branding over there. I would love to see you guys wearing it. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Check out the videos I've got linked up here if you want to learn a little bit more about me and the channel at hand. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.